Tanny Games here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here with a little speed build video, basically for Simba and Nala in the Oasis of Eternity Isle. I've been meaning to do this speed build for quite some time. I've mentioned it on, I think, multiple videos actually, but I just never got round to doing it. So I'm finally here. I've finally done it. And I thought I'd just share this little process with you all, as to sort of what I did and what I created. Now, I chose this spot in Eternity Isle. Basically, I chose the Oasis because I was actually inspired by the Lion King movie, and when Simba runs away as a little cub, and are they cubs when they're lion? Yeah, it's the lion cub, isn't it? Yeah, of course. But basically, when he lives with like Timon and Pumbaa, and he lives in this kind of like really tropical, lush jungle kind of landscape. That's what I kind of wanted to create here. That was the goal, that was sort of the motivation, but then obviously the kind of sandy areas as well, I thought tied in quite nicely to this. Now, to start with, I basically started pulling out a bunch of items that I thought might fit. So I pulled out a bunch of items from the Lion King category, and had a little search through the outdoors filter just to see if there were some items that I could use in this build. I did want to keep it very, very natural, so later on in the build you will probably see that a lot of the decorating I do is actually with like foliage and trees and everything like that. I did want to keep it as natural as possible. I didn't want many kind of like man-made items, so although I've got a couple of benches and things like that in here, there's not a lot of items that are kind of out of place. So you'll see in a minute that I do actually get rid of the kind of branch partition, because I just didn't think it fitted in anywhere kind of like naturally. So I did get rid of that. Obviously we do have some lights as well towards the end of the build, but again, I just wanted to kind of stick with the more natural landscaping. Now here's where I tried to fit in a bunch of trees, especially the kind of like tree cluster items. I do usually quite like these cluster items because it's a great way to fill out space without sort of increasing your item count too much. So that was sort of my main idea with that, but unfortunately a lot of the clusters I wanted didn't really actually fit in the space, so I just kind of like went with the small jungle tree cluster and then some more individual trees. I did try and get a variety of trees in here as well because I wanted that kind of like mix, not only just for sort of like the colors but for the texture as well. I thought that was really, really important. So I do use some bamboo, I use the jungle clusters, and I do actually use some trees from the base game. I forget their name. I think it's called like the lush tree. and things like that, just because I thought they worked really well. And then I used a lot of these wild tangle plants as well, and the fan leaf plants, again just adding a bit of like variety with the texture, trying to fill out some of those smaller spaces, just so that it feels more overgrown and more lush really. Now I did start putting in these little red bushes. I just wanted a kind of pop of colour, especially against the green, because it's a lot of green in this build, and that's not a bad thing. I think it works perfectly for the vibe, but again, I just think that kind of pop of colour added a bit more dimension to it. I also tried to squeeze this rock kind of cluster in, just for a bit of like extra height. I also like the idea of maybe closing off some areas, but again, it was just far too big for the space that I had. So I had to like get rid of that idea, unfortunately. I have a few ideas that I try with different landscaping things, but again, just not the space really. I love this game, and I love the landscaping in Eternity Isle. I think it's so great having the different heights of things, different elevation levels. I think it really adds a lot of dimension. But I do sometimes prefer biomes like the Forest of Valor in the original game, because I feel like with it being so flat and uninterrupted, you can just do much more bigger builds, and you can kind of fit almost every item. You're not kind of restricted or anything like that in terms of what you want to place, which I noticed a couple of times when I was working on this build. I had ideas that I just really couldn't bring to life because of the fact that there just wasn't the space. But overall, I am still very happy with this build. I think it turned out really well in the end. At this point in the build, I'm basically just trying to get in some lighting. I do try and make sure that my builds work in both the day and the night. And I do like a very illuminated build. After doing this, I think I could actually add more lighting to this build. I had a very limited amount of like torches and things like that, so I think if I had a few more, I would fill up the lighting a bit more. There's a couple of darker areas that I kind of want to bring lighting to, but I didn't have a chance to go to Scrooge's shop and buy those, unfortunately. But it's something that I can add quite easily, and I don't think it detracts too much from the main build. It's still got a lot of lovely light and illumination during the night, Just I prefer things very, very well lit. I did also use this ancient pillars light as well, although it didn't kind of fit the theme. I do like the little glow that it has, like the orb. I just thought it was kind of like mystical and magical, so I really loved that idea. At this point I was just readjusting the little cactus plants that randomly spawn. Again, just trying to keep this build kind of natural, so I kind of scattered these about. I think if I had more of them, I'd probably walk around my build and just like randomly drop clusters and let them kind of land wherever they land. Because I think that would be such a good idea. I did also think about whether I could pull flowers from any other biomes, but I didn't think of any that would work off the top of my head. But it's something that I might add to, because I love the flowers around Nala's waterfall. I think they look really pretty, so maybe I'll get some of the base game flowers just to fill in the more greener blank spaces when it comes to it. I did also place, you'll have seen it earlier, the little rocky path behind Nala's waterfall, which leads to kind of like the sleeping, shaded, resty area for Simba and Nala. I thought the kind of rock path made it sort of seem a bit more kind of like intentional in terms of spacing and access and everything like that. So I did place those little rocks down. This is a point where I'm kind of like searching my valley to see, well, Eternity Isle, to see if there's any extra items, flowers, foliage that I can pull and bring into this build. I did debate about the Venus flytraps, but then I settled on some of these fruit trees, which I think were there originally when you open up the Oasis. So I'm just kind of like pulling them back. At some point you'll see a bit later on when we're doing the walk around, there's a bit of an awkward cut that I make with this particular like prickly bush thing, cactus kind of bush, where basically I got stuck when I tried to walk past it, so I had to go into furniture mode and quickly move it. But this is the main part of the tour, I guess you could say, so you can see all the different aspects of what I've done. I kind of like the private view that the bamboo wall gave, and it kind of leads into this surprise oasis. Obviously an important thing with all my builds is accessibility to the mining rocks. So I made sure that I could access all of those still, even with this build. I like that there's some kind of like little private areas you can hide away in, just kind of sit in and relax in and everything like that. But I think it's very lush, very tropical, which I think is great for Simba and Nala. Lots of flowers, lots of trees, which I love. So yeah, I think that is really great. I like this build. I love how it turned out. I think it was a wonderful build overall. As we get to the end of this video, because I'm slowly going to move into a nighttime tour so you can see how it looks with all the lights, I do just want to say a big thank you to everyone who supports my channel, whether you're liking my videos, leaving comments, if you're subscribed. It all means the world to me so much. I honestly cannot thank you guys enough for everything you do, and the support in my Discord as well has been amazing. It's so lovely to see people interacting in there. It makes me really happy that this kind of like community, this family is kind of growing. So if you're not a part of the Discord, I do recommend joining. It's lovely hanging out in there, kind of talking and everything like that. And I want to say a huge shout out to all my channel members. Your support absolutely means the world to me. Honestly, it's you don't have to do it, and the fact that you do just means absolutely everything to me. So I want to say thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!